Did they make
No,
contact?
no. It's pretty close, but this is going to be a drag race.
Right Look there. At this.
Moves him to win it. Carl Edwards bump and dump and run.
Here comes Gordon right up to the bumper again.
You hear that wheel spin, Benny?
Yeah, I did hear that wheel spin.
The bump and run.
There it is.
Gordon underneath to the lead. 2 laps to go.
And Maine really turned around, made a Riley's cage up.
Welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael DUI, joined by my two best friends, Matt, the Stat Man Reilly, and Eric, Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had a great Monday. Hope you guys had yourselves a William Darrell Bubba Wallace Jr. type of Monday. He was the big winner at the YellaWood 500 down there in Talladega. And if you're enjoying this podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at BumpTheLetterAndRunPod. Follow us on the Facebook page. That way, in case we're a day late like we are today, you know I'm putting out press releases whenever we're late. But
God bless me.
Bless you, Matt, the Stat Man. So, as you're jumping off that sneeze there, how's your weekend? How's you guys feeling about the past week? It was a rainy one, not only in Alabama, but here in Pennsylvania, too.
Rainy everywhere, it seemed like. Half the football games I watched, there was rain going on. It just seemed like a rainy weekend all around. My Jets got their first win, though. I'll take that.
Did they? Who did they face?
They played the Titans, went into overtime.
Man, the Titans must be bad this year.
Well, they were missing 2 of their top receivers, who are like top 20 receivers in the league. So we pulled one out. Notre Dame lost, though, so that really sucks. So I had like a very bittersweet weekend.
Up and down in the betting columns?
Down in the betting columns.
Yeah. I stayed away from football betting this week. I spent my last $10 in my betting account. I put it on Tyler Reddick. For a second, I got excited there. But how about you, Eric? How was your weekend?
It was all right. I went out and decorated the house, got some, it's October, Halloween's coming around, got the old hay bales, pumpkins, the corn stalks for the front porch, got a couple nice mums put on the steps, make the woman happy, took her. So we did a little decorating on Sunday since the race was on delay there. So did a little bit of fall decorating. Other than that,
I'll tell you what, I am down with fall decorating. All the other decorating seasons can get screwed, but I'm a huge fall guy, so yeah. I'm down with the fall decorations.
See, I'm a big Christmas light guy. I like the Christmas lights.
Okay.
Although I like the old school ones, the big bulbs. You ever see those still?
No.
I love them.
No.
Yeah.
They're just back to the 90s.
They get hot.
They get real hot. Oh, they're definitely a fire hazard. You don't want to put those on a fake tree. That thing's melting easy. It'd be before New Year's. It's going up in flames. But they actually just start reproducing like new ones that are LEDs, but are the same shape and color. I might have to invest in them, but they're a little pricey. All that old school like hipster stuff is the price is jacked up because they know suckers like me will pay for it.
Speaking of old school, I know we're going to get into the weeds here. This isn't where we wanted to go, but here we are. Old school Christmas decorations. You know the ceramic Christmas trees?
Oh,
that come with like the little light lit up, like all.
It was in like your grandma's living room?
Yeah, my mom has like 3 or 4 of them. So Steph's been wanting one, right? What? So we were at the fair last week, and in one of the buildings, they had them for sale. Like one of the vendors had them, all different types of these ceramic Christmas trees for sale. Dude, for anyone who doesn't know, first of all, they're about, I don't know, maybe 2 foot tall, and they're a ceramic Christmas tree. You want to guess how much one of those bad boys were?
Ooh, $99.
Yeah, or more. Yeah, some of them were more, but yeah.
They have those little tiny plastic ones. There's like a light in the center that lights up all the fake lights on it.
Yes.
But those were making a big comeback in the last couple years.
Yeah, that's probably why Steph wants one.
So you used to have to get like an old 70s one, like that everyone had. Like I remember having one of those as a little kid too. I haven't seen it probably in 15, 20 years. But yeah, like maybe 2-3 years ago, they were making a comeback, and you can now get them that they're like LEDs. But I feel like the colors are just not the same as that old school, like glow.
Nope. Yeah, I don't like the new white light, the LED. I don't like it.
No,
I don't like
me either.
That old orange light. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I tell you what, it kills me driving at night too, when people have like LED headlights. I'm just blinded. Like, oh. So, but that's
speaking of lights, I'll make the transition for you. Speaking of
All
lights,
right.
should Talladega have lights?
Well, maybe we'll cover that one in the Pick a Lane segment. But first, you guys want to jump into the NASCAR news? All right, kind of a slow news week. We got a couple moves, though. Of course, you know, Todd Gordon, Ryan Blaney's current crew chief, he's retiring at the end of the season. It was announced Jonathan Hassler is going to be Ryan Blaney's crew chief in 2022. I think that's a good pick. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. returning to JTG Doherty in 2022 as they move to a one-car team. No news on what's going to happen to Ryan Preece there. He's looking for a job. Grant Enfinger, who's currently running part-time in the truck series for Thor Sport Racing, he's going to be joining GMS next year for the 2022 truck schedule, going full-time. So glad to see Grant Enfinger coming back full-time. I'm a big fan of Grant Enfinger. He has a pig that he posts on social media. I think it's pretty cool. Right. I don't know. I kind of always wanted a pet pig as a kid. The only thing is, it's real easy to overfeed them, and then you know they have ride height issues. No chuckle for that one. Bad joke. All right.
That's all right. Let's keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Saturday, big congratulations to Chase and Mariska Briscoe. They had their first child over the weekend. Let's see. If you wanted to go to the championship race in Phoenix coming up in a couple weeks now, well, it's officially sold out. So you have to pay an arm and a leg for resale tickets there.
You couldn't pay me whatever those tickets cost. You couldn't pay me to go back to Phoenix Raceway.
No. And if you're new to the show, Matt and Eric went to Phoenix Raceway. What was it, about 5-6 years ago or so now?
About 5 years ago.
And, and you guys didn't realize they don't allow beers into that track. So you guys got thrown in beer jail outside, had to finish the cooler before going to see the rest of the race. So we won't be returning to Phoenix.
We held it against that track since then, and for the rest of my life, I will.
As you should. Homestead, bring it back to the finale, baby. And the last piece of news, Denny Hamlin announced that they had secured a second charter for that 45 car and a crew chief for Kurt Busch. No further details on who that crew chief will be. I wonder if it will be his current crew chief over at Chip Ganassi Racing. I'm sure we'll find out in the next couple weeks. I heard an interview with Claire B. Lang on SiriusXM in the pre-show on Sunday as I was cutting the grass. I didn't realize that the rain was going to hold off the race. But she had talked to Kurt Busch's current crew chief, and he said he's got some promising outlook for next season, but he wasn't ready to announce it. So, I mean, it would make sense. Why break them up? So, but yeah, that's all I have for NASCAR news this week. You guys have anything to say about those? Kind of just some quick stories, not really much going on.
Yeah, I've got nothing to add.
No silly season bombs like I'm sure we'll get coming in the future. So let's jump into this week's NASCAR history.
I love this story.
So since we're just in Talladega yesterday, I know I gave you the history of Talladega's first race last week. If you missed that one, check it out. There was some interesting union busting and some not champ cars.
Tire wars.
There's tire wars, people dying on the blood on the track. There was a driver walkout. It was a crazy story about Talladega's first race, considered the worst race in NASCAR history.
Indian burial grounds.
Native Americans being driven out of their land in Alabama, cursing the Talladega track. Well, some could say this is part of the Talladega curse because fast forward, that happened in the 60s. This happened in the 80s. Let's go forward 20 years. May 4th. 1986, one brave man dared to go where no man had gone before. He stole the pace car. At the time in the 80s, security was pretty light at NASCAR tracks, and moments, literally seconds before the engine started, a fan hopped into the pace car and took it for a few laps. Finally, the safety crew, not even the cops or security, the safety crew was able to put up a roadblock in turn 4 of course, the cops came and took the guy who stole the pace car to jail. Now, they talk about this story all the time. You see video packages. The fan that stole the pace car. It's funny. You see him driving around having a good time. He's shirtless. You assume he's probably a drunk guy, right? It's Talladega. People are partying in the infield pretty hard. Well, apparently there's more to the story than what it seems. It wasn't just a drunk fan. Apparently the man was named Darren Crowder. He wasn't even supposed to be at the race that day. In fact, he didn't even have a race ticket. Darren had driven to Lincoln, Alabama to check out a motorcycle that was for sale. See, him and his family were going through rough times and motorcycles were cheaper than cars. So on his new bike, Darren found himself in some race day traffic and just kind of went with the flow of traffic. He got into the infield for free, no ticket, nobody checked, nothing. He was hanging out. Now, we're not exactly 100% sure why he stole the car. He was arrested. He was charged. They tried to get him for grand theft auto. The only problem is it was hard to prove that he intended to actually steal the car and leave the premises because he took it on the track. You're just driving around in a big oval. So
on a closed course.
So technically you can't steal it.
Yeah.
You're kind of just driving it without permission. The only problem is
messing around. Here's the keys.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We're not exactly 100% sure what happened. There's no story afterwards. There's some rumors that he got in a fight with a guy in the county jail when he was arrested over this. But after that, there was no court records of anything. But Darren Crowder will always be the fan that stole the pace car in Talladega.
Yeah, let's give that guy a round of applause. That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
for him.
He's had lasting impression in NASCAR for over 30 years now. Got to thank NASCAR Man on Twitter and Racing Reference for the source material on that one. I thought that was a pretty interesting story. And speaking of Talladega, let's go over the weekend. We had a doubleheader, trucks and Xfinity on Saturday, and we had two first-time winners. The Truck Series was, of course, won by Tate Fogelman, and the Xfinity Series race won by Brandon Brown. And I tell you what, Brandon Brown, the heartwarming story of the weekend. If you don't know, a couple months ago, Brandon did some promo videos as a used car salesman. He was trying to sell his brand.
Awesome. They were awesome.
They were so
cool.
funny.
Yeah, so funny.
And just that out of the box thinking kind of makes you root for that guy. It's a family owned team. It's him, his dad. They're in a small shop. Actually, I think they're in two shops split in different states. And it really just makes you pull for a guy like that. And of course, he got his first career win. I thought it was pretty cool too. I believe it was during the first Darlington race, the throwback race. He had a throwback UPS scheme, but it was, instead of what can UPS Brown do for you, it was what could Brandon Brown do for you, trying to drum up some of that sponsorship. And apparently, I didn't know this until today, they were really close to closing the doors on the whole entire Xfinity Series program for that team. And hopefully this could get them some sponsorship they need to keep going. Of course, the prize money is probably going to help keep them going for a little bit longer. But just a great, heartwarming story for Brandon Brown getting that Xfinity Series win. I always love stuff like that.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's, I actually forgot about those videos. And then, Whitey, I think me and you were talking during the race, and I think you reminded me that because of those videos, you were happy for them. And it's like, oh my God, I forgot about those videos. They were so funny. So yeah, real heartwarming. I can only imagine, you're running this team with your family, with your dad, and then, all that hard work, all those, they probably work 10, 15, 20 hours, or probably not 20 hours, but probably 10 or 15 hours a day working on these cars, getting them ready. And then all that pays off and they finally win a race. I mean, I couldn't imagine how good that must feel.
And it was an earned win too. They were running up front for a good portion of that race too. So just big kudos to them. Do you guys want to jump into the Cup race?
Yeah, nothing really crazy happened, right?
Yeah, no, just first.
No big news out of the Cup race.
Nope, just first time Cup winner Bubba Wallace getting the series win, And a pretty interesting stat, the first win for McDonald's on a car since Talladega in 1994. Matt, can you tell us, you're the stat man, who won that Talladega race in 1994?
Yeah, local legend here, one Jimmy effing Spencer.
Berwick's own Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Spencer, was the last one to win in a McDonald's paint scheme. It's been over 27 years. Bubba Wallace got it done in Talladega in a rain-shortened race. I thought actually this is a really cool stat too. This was the first weekend that we had 3 first-time winners at the same track in NASCAR history. So I thought that was really cool.
That blew my mind.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that either. That just seemed like there's always, especially at these types of racetracks, you would think it would have happened at least, at least one other time.
Yeah. Or even like back in the 90s when the Truck Series was just starting, and then there was like the Busch Series running at the same time. I wonder if it, too, though, it has to do with either the trucks running or Xfinity running, and not them all running together in as like a triple header in a weekend as often as they have in this last season and the season beforehand. But yeah, really cool stat. I thought that was awesome.
Absolutely.
Of course, we had 5 caution flags for 27 laps, 35 lead changes among 19 different drivers. You might not like super speedway racing because of the big wrecks, but you cannot complain that they can't pass at a super speedway. Like, that is all you see all day long, and the stats don't lie. Your top 5, of course, was Bubba Wallace, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Kurt Busch, and Christopher Bell. So some big super speedway heavy hitters right there with Team Penske, Daytona 500 winner Kurt Busch, and of course Christopher Bell and Kyle Busch doing it too. So, or no, sorry, not Kyle Busch, just Christopher Bell. So yeah, pretty interesting race. You guys want to jump into the race grade?
Go.
I'm ready. Yeah.
All right, Eric, let's start with you.
I don't know how you can't give that an A.
Gotta.
That was just an incredible display of talent on the racetrack. Those drivers, going 3-4 wide. 3
wide all day long.
And a lot longer than my heart could handle, let alone, they showed, was it Ricky Stenhouse was up to 160. And, I felt like, mine was like
your heart rate was 160.
Yeah. Cause like, one little move, I shouldn't say one little, you got to the wrong side of the back bumper of a car and you were going to be in. And
it happened with Ricky to Alex Bowman. They just barely touched just out of that middle spot and it hooked him right into the wall,
So, I mean, there was entertainment all around. I mean, it was just full throttle. The rain, the implications of that.
Yeah.
I know we talked earlier in the week or last week about that on here about, how good some of the races can be when there is weather in the area and they know about the weather. So, all of it just came together to produce just incredible racing, passing, obviously in the stats, like you said, it just, edge of your seat, edge of your seat racing. And, it definitely wasn't a snooze fest where I didn't find myself on my phone at all.
No,
it's eyes.
You can't look away because anything could happen at any second.
I just figured out what my records was actually, now that I just thought about that. So thank you, Whitey.
All right.
So,
cool.
it was just phenomenal. I was really needing some kind of energy that Talladega gave me back, after we had kind of a dud there. And it was just, man, that it really revitalized me and got me, reignited for these playoffs and, setting the stage for, I know we'll get into it for next week. You couldn't ask for what better results happened, to set up for another, knockout race.
Yeah. And just the added element of the impending rain added so much, because not only did you have guys fighting for every position the whole entire time, because they're fighting to get to halfway at the same point too, because if it stopped before halfway, then you're coming back the next day. So you want to make sure you're in it and you stay in it and you have that good starting spot if it does stop, and then you have to start again the next day. So yeah, definitely fantastic. I think too, with all that 3-wide racing, which I was really shocked with how long they stayed 3-wide. Usually that makes me real nervous. Of course, more so at Daytona because it's not a very wide track. Talladega, you could go 3 and 4 wide and be comfortable, but not for as long as they were going. They were doing, 5-10 lap runs 3 wide, and each pack is just as fast. And it was just absolutely amazing to watch the whole entire time, knowing that it could end or the big one could happen at any time. I think though, after the spring race at Talladega, they did add, it will take away some horsepower. They added a new tapered spacer to drop down the horsepower. And apparently that did help with the stabilization of the car. So I think maybe that's why we saw some more 3-wide racing. And if that was the result, give it to me. Give it to me all day long. Inject it in my veins. I can't get enough of it. How about you? How about you, Matt? I'm assuming you're going to give it an A also.
I gave it an A. Yeah. And the only reason I didn't give it the A+ is because not only was it delayed a day, but we didn't get to see a whole stage of racing.
Yeah.
Which, I'm not holding that against anybody. It's no one's fault, right? It's Mother Nature. But I love super speedway racing so much.
You want to get the whole money's worth.
Yeah, I just wanted to see a whole race of super speedway racing because I love it that much. And then it sucks that we have to now wait until mid-February to get our next super speedway race. But such is how the schedule goes. So I mean, I loved it. It was an A. Everything that Eric said, I'm going to piggyback off of. It was a playoff super speedway race that had the threat of rain, which heightened the urgency. I mean, enough said. That's, in my opinion, that's all you need. And I don't know what would have to happen in a super speedway race for me to give it anything but an A. It's just by the pure nature of the racing itself. It's just so goddamn exciting. So, I mean, we had 3-wide racing for not just like a lap or two, like for
5-10 laps.
For a majority of the racing yesterday, they were 3-wide. Like, it was amazing. 3-wide and like 5-6 rows deep too. It was just, it was amazing.
It wasn't just like the first 6 cars or anything, or 12 cars. It was
the whole pack.
The whole pack.
Yeah. So I mean, we were talking. I was like, I can't. Like, what are they thinking doing this? But it worked. We only saw the 1 or 2 really big crashes. So just again,
and they weren't even that crazy big ones either. Like,
no, they weren't. No. It's a showcase of the talent that these guys possess. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's why I love the sport so much.
I think only 4 or 5 cars didn't complete the race, which is huge on a super speedway. I will give you that. I gave it an A also. I think I hate rain shortened races at super speedways because I want to see the whole race. I love super speedway racing, and I think you're right. I think the only race at a super speedway that I could think of in recent memory that I wouldn't give an A would probably be the Daytona 500. I don't remember what I graded it on the podcast, but just because of that big one in the beginning, it scared a lot of guys, and then they just ran a single train for most of it. That's a little disappointing. Same thing, I think it was 2009 or 2019 Talladega. I think Chase won that. That was the first year where they had the big Chevy manufacturer orders and they all kind of just stayed in line. And that was a great race too, but it was just a little bit boring watching the freight train go by. But yeah, I mean, when you get 2-wide racing all day long, how can you not give it an A?
Whitey.
Yeah,
I know we usually, all 3 of us are usually pretty close in our grading, and then we don't plan that by any means, just to let everyone know. We just all pretty much share the same opinions and watch, take in the race the same way. So that's why our grades are always pretty similar. And I look back, I saved all my grades, and I gave the 500 a B. So I'm assuming your grade was
probably similar.
right around there. Yeah,
that makes sense. And yeah, just for that reason, I hate when they get a little timid and they just stay in a long line. And we saw the exact opposite of that this Monday, and it was phenomenal. And you know what? I tell you what, we saw some great truck and Xfinity Series races too that did have giant big ones and did wreck a lot of cars. And we kind of had the opposite where they kept it really clean for the most part at Talladega on Monday. And maybe it was because of the playoff guys being a little conservative. They knew. I know like Denny was pushing Christopher Bell a whole lot. I was actually kind of rooting for Christopher Bell there because I wanted to see him win his way out of the round of 12 and advance to the round of 8. I know I was a big time Christopher Bell hater for a long time, but there's just something about this season where I do want to kind of see him succeed, you know, but we saw a great race. Bubba got the win, and you want to get into our checkers and wreckers?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Matt, you want to go first for your checkers?
Yeah, my checkers goes to Michael Jordan. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him.
I think, isn't he like a baseball player from the 90s?
He's an actor. He was in the movie Creed.
Oh, yeah. Was he in Creed?
That Michael B. Jordan, man.
Oh, yeah. I love that. He's so handsome, too.
He is. He's a good-looking dude.
Mm-hmm.
No, my checkers goes to Michael Jordan. So the dude is a billionaire with a B. He could have invested his money into literally anything he wanted to, and he invested it into NASCAR. And yesterday it paid off in a big way. Everyone, including myself, laughed at him when he said his expectation was to win year one.
Yeah.
And here we are. They got that win yesterday. I don't care if it was rain shortened. I don't care if it's at a super speedway, if it's at a road course, or if it's a foot race. I don't care. They won the race yesterday, and you've got to give them all the credit in the world. And another thing too is that Bubba, it was no fluke. Just like Michael McDowell winning the Daytona 500 wasn't a fluke. If you pay attention, Bubba Wallace typically runs pretty well at these super speedways. So you've got to give them, that whole team, all the credit in the world. If you can't see how huge this is for NASCAR as a whole, I don't really know what to tell you. If you don't understand why it's such a big thing for NASCAR for Bubba to win, if I can't explain that to you, then you're probably never going to get it at this point. You probably have your mindset somewhere else, which is fine if that's the way you want to think.
Yeah.
If you love this sport and you want to see it thrive, then you can put whatever feelings that you might have about Bubba or Michael Jordan or anyone off to the side, and just realize how monumental yesterday was for NASCAR. We had a couple black eyes in the sport this year as far as some of the things that NASCAR did with some calls that they made or didn't make.
Not calling cautions for rain and letting them run in the rain for too long. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And I think yesterday was the total opposite of that. I think it was a huge monumental achievement for the entire sport of NASCAR. And I hope it furthers the growth that I think NASCAR is on already.
All right. How about your wreckers?
My wreckers goes to Jennifer Jo Cobb. She's in the truck series, and I don't know if I know you guys saw it because we were talking about it, and we sent the video back and forth to each other. But if you're listening and you did not see it, go back and search Jennifer Jo Cobb Talladega, and it'll probably be the first video that comes up. So during the truck race on Saturday, the big one occurred.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Jo Cobb was in the very back of the pack when the big one occurred. She might have even been like out of the pack, like way beyond, like
she was probably out of the draft, you know?
Yeah, that's what I mean. She was probably not even in the draft. So the wreck was just about over. It was starting to settle down as all the cars that were involved were kind of sliding to their final resting spots. And here comes good old Jen flying into the TV frame. And it was honestly a solid 7 or 8 seconds after the fact that the wreck was pretty much over. She hit Parker Klingerman.
Ended his day too, and he had made it through.
Yeah, he was part of the big one. He just kind of got spun up. He didn't have really any major damage until Jennifer Jo Cobb came flying into the picture there. It just looked like she gassed it up and tried navigating her way through the destruction instead of just stopping.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, she should have at least slowed down.
She pulled a Days of Thunder. Olden Days of Thunder.
Yeah, but this isn't a movie. This is real life. And the term dangerous doesn't even do justice for whatever the hell she was doing out there. I don't know. Just a few months ago, she was all up in arms with NASCAR when NASCAR denied her the right to drive in the Cup Series at a super speedway.
Yeah,
because
at Talladega.
Yeah, it was at Talladega because they told her she didn't have enough
experience at super speedways.
Thank you, at super speedways, and she blamed it because she thought it was because she was being treated like that because she was a woman. It's like, no, woman or man, you just proved right there how dangerous you could be on a super speedway, and that's why you don't get the opportunities to run in Cup on super speedways. I just thought it was super dangerous. We can laugh at it now because no one got hurt, thankfully, but just stupid.
Yeah, I was out and about. I was at lunch when you sent the clip, and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And I'm watching the big one, and you're like, "Look at Jennifer Jo Cobb." I'm like, which car is Jennifer Jo Cobb? And then all of a sudden, you just see the truck come flying into frame and smash into the back of Parker Kligerman. I go, "Oh my god!" Okay.
Like,
yeah.
Was her spot, like, I'm not even joking. Was her spotter like in the bathroom?
So
like, what happened there?
So the story I heard from one of her crew members.
This, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're gonna. Yeah.
They have to review it
either today or tomorrow for sure.
So the story that I heard supposedly from a crew member was that going into Talladega, they had a plan for the big one. What that plan was, I don't know. Maybe it was to just drive right through it. But either way, NASCAR is definitely going to have to address it. I'm sure they will. Everyone on Twitter, on NASCAR radio, they all talked about it today and just what was she thinking. So I'm sure it'll be addressed.
Yeah. Parker Kligerman, the one that was involved in it too. Let me pull up his tweet.
Whatever that plan would have been, as soon as that caution comes out, like that's like wherever, like you're
just slow down.
Like, you can't gain anything from flying through the pack. Like what?
And that's the thing. The field
that would have been,
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense. The field is frozen. It's not like in the 90s when you're racing back to the caution flag and you're trying to get into 5th position because the big one happened. You kind of slam on your brakes and you try to avoid it as best as possible.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what she was thinking there. Matt, while you bring up your the tweet from Parker Kligerman.
Here it is. I've got it. So Parker Kligerman, the one that Jennifer Jo Cobb wrecked into, tweeted, the wreck was happening for 18 seconds by the time the 10 absolutely destroyed us. I was in the middle of the wreck and didn't have so much as a scratch because I used a little known thing called a pedal, a brake. And then he went on to say, let's play a game. What things can you accomplish in 18 seconds? Chug beers, write a tweet, spark an idea for the next billion-dollar company? So, I mean, especially him, nobody was happy about it.
No, in fact, you read that tweet in less than 18 seconds. So that just goes to show you how much time she had to slow that truck down.
Yeah, it's egregious is what it was.
All right, Eric, how about yours? What's your checkers and records for the weekend?
My checkers goes to Denny Hamlin. He already secured his win and his, advancement onto the next round of the playoffs. Going into Talladega, where you could get seriously injured if you do get caught up in the big one, and it could happen anywhere. He could have rode around the back, but he didn't. He was asked, like, what do you want to do? Do you want to race? Or do you want to just collect some points, hang out, and play this safe? Mm-hmm. And he goes, no. He goes, I'll do whatever I need to do for my teammate. And, they were pretty much hinting at Christopher Bell because he's the one that needed the most points in the push to get through. And I just thought that was cool of Denny. Like, that's just being an ultimate teammate. That's just being a good sport. And, it just shows what kind of person I think Denny is in that situation. Like, he's at the top of his game and he's still willing to help that young driver and his team get through to the next round. And, I just thought that was very, very impressive. And, he, at one point he kind of outschooled his young, teammate when he said, I gave him a warning 2 laps and he didn't listen to me. And, he went up and he went down because Denny saw it even before he saw it. And I just thought that was really, really cool of him having that win, knowing he could have just rode around the back, and he didn't. He wanted to race up there and help out as much as he can and be a part of the race in a bigger way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it helped Christopher Bell get that top 5 finish,
right,
which he definitely needed points wise. He is still sitting 28 points out of the round of 12. So
Denny's heartbeat was probably hovering around like a 30 too.
Man, he's cold as ice on those super speedways. Yeah. And that just goes to show it. I was talking about it last week where we were saying there are great super speedway racers. There is a method to it. You could see it happening. And I said, Denny's the best at it. Denny's the best at predicting when things are going to happen. And just like he said to Christopher Bell, you got 2 laps and he was right. So
like when he was doing that, it just made you, it's almost like, damn, like Denny's at such top of his game right now. He's making everyone seem like idiots. Like he basically like said, Chris, like, how didn't you see that happening? You know what I mean? Like, what were you looking at that I wasn't? Like, come on, guy. Like, it's almost like he was out there, like, with his son. Like, oh, come on, I'm going to show you the way. I can try to do it. I could win if I want, but, I'm going to go back.
I'm trying to help you out. I already got my win. I'm locked into the round of 8.
That's how Dale Sr. was, man. And even Dale Jr., like, that's how they were. They just, certain guys just understand the physics that it takes. That goes into the drafting and all that, and it's super, super, super impressive.
Junior,
I don't know. I love it.
I think what was it, Junior said last week on his podcast where he's like, I knew when things are going to happen, and you got to let them happen. You got to go when they're going to happen. You can't hesitate and stuff.
And sometimes you have to cut your loss too. I've heard him say that a million times. Sometimes you miss your opportunity to jump in line, and you're going to get sucked back, and you just have to accept it instead of throwing a block or anything. Accept it and know that you have to get back up there.
I tell you what, I wrecked a couple people in Talladega this past week at iRacing because I was in the top
bump and run colors
with the bump and run colors. Yeah, with the bump and run truck on the top lane, trying to dive down into the bottom lane when I had a hole, and that hole plugs up real quick. You got to be quick on those moves. You can't hesitate at all. But you want to what? I'm gonna pat myself on the back here. I am a decent super speedway racer where I could see things happening. Like I could see who's gonna cause the wreck in front of me. I like to hang back, don't lose the draft, but give yourself enough distance to slow that truck down, Jennifer Joe Cobb, just in case. And you keep your nose clean, and you'll be there at the end. It takes a lot of patience and a lot of timing. And you know what? It's like an art. And like Steve Letarte always says, it's chess at 200 miles per hour. Some people know those moves a little bit better. And Denny Hamlin is definitely one of them. How about your records, Eric? What's your records for the weekend? You said I inspired it. I'm excited to hear what it is.
I don't know what triggered it, maybe in that instance, but at the time when I was watching the race, I thought of it, and then I forgot about it, and then I don't know if it was...
Came back to you.
Remember what you said. But,
he said something about a phone, being off the phone.
Right. So NBC Sports app was not going NASCAR nonstop, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to literally smash everything in my house in front of me.
Yeah.
They're like,
because you can't take your eye off of it.
Oh, dude, at Talladega on a Monday?
Yeah.
There should be no commercials on a Monday Talladega race. No commercials. So so we're going to go NASCAR nonstop. And it goes to the, top right corner. I'm like, okay. And I'm watching the little box. As soon as the first commercial comes on, whoop, full screen. I'm like, wait a minute. I go, okay, calm down, Eric.
Maybe it's just
first commercial.
Maybe it's an app ad.
Dude.
No.
Oh, man.
And you're sitting there and I know the app's already on a lag to begin with. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then every single time you come back, there's a new leader. There's a new, what happened? And especially at Talladega, you go from first to the back. Like you said, you get sucked up, you're gone. What's going on? Oh, that added to the adrenaline that I didn't need at the time watching Talladega. Oh, that app not going nonstop. Irritated.
I completely understand. I hate the NBC Sports app, and I used it the whole entire season. I've been logging in under Matt's cable provider and stuff and watching it. And the thing that kills me is it's on such a long delay. It's on like a 3-minute it's on like a 3-lap delay, which always throws me off when I'm talking to you guys and when I'm listening to the scanner. What I started doing, Eric? I got Hulu TV. and the delay is less. It's still there, but it's like half of a lap delay, which is a little bit better. But of course, you're going to pay more money for it.
So I didn't tell you guys this. My service provider down here, whom I won't mention because if I do, it'll enrage me. I hate my service provider down here, but it's the only one outside of like Dish that I can get.
Yeah.
So I have to roll with it, and they stink. They stink. And so
Eric gets it. I'm doing a hand motion, a South Park reference. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Anyway, she's caught me off guard.
I'm sorry.
So my NBC sports channel froze.
Yeah. Oh,
like, I don't know, lap 10 or something. And so I was like, oh, is it my box? Is it my cable box? I was flipping all the channels. Everything was working fine. I'd get back to NBC Sports and it would still be frozen.
Just that channel.
I was so irate. So I pulled up my phone. I was watching on the NBC app while I rebooted the cable box. And if anyone, out there listening knows, when you reboot a cable box, it takes
like 20 minutes
hours to reboot. Yeah. So I was infuriated for a good 10 minutes yesterday.
Yeah, that's some horseshit. For people listening and not watching on YouTube, I was rubbing my nipples, and that's a reference. That's a reference.
Cable.
That's a reference to an episode of South Park, because everybody hates their cable provider, and anytime you call for like help on the helpline, they're just running there like, oh yeah, that's terrible. Sorry. I wish I could help you with that, because they know that they've got you by the balls. And that's every cable company in the entire country. It drives me nuts.
I'll tie this back to NASCAR. The cable provider up by you guys, where I'll be moving to shortly, is Xfinity, which is obviously
lightning fast internet, as fast as Kevin Harvick's car.
It's a fantastic cable provider, and I cannot wait to get back to it.
Yeah, you gotta get off of those country town cable providers there.
Off.
All right.
Go ahead. Sorry, Woody.
All right. Yeah. Oh, okay. My turn. Checkers and wreckers. So
you're up, Mike.
Gotta give the checkers to Bubba Wallace, and not only Bubba, but the whole 2311 racing team. Just as Matt pointed out, just as a new Cup team this year, winning a race is huge. We might not see the consistency out of Bubba and the team that they would have liked. I mean, going into it, Michael Jordan said he wanted to see 2 wins. I doubt that's going to happen, but they got 1 on the board. I don't care if it was rain shortened. It's still a big deal, especially for a brand new team. Just attracts sponsors, attracts people to the sport, like all that stuff. And like Matt said, I mean, this wasn't a fluke win. Bubba Wallace is always up there during super speedway races. 2311 always brings a fast speedway car. Back when he was at Richard Petty Motorsports, they always bring a fast speedway car. We saw that with Eric Jones getting a top 10 in Talladega too. They're always in the mix. Super speedway racing, unlike anything other, it's that art form. He got a 2nd place finish in Daytona a couple weeks ago, so this one was just coming. I know it was rain shortened, but I don't think that should take anything away from the talent that it took to get him up to the front and hold off 2 of the best super speedway racers we have in Team Penske, Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano. And he was moving up and down the track, blocking both of them at the same time. So that just goes to show you he earned that one all throughout.
We were just talking about, I know it's his owner, sorry to cut you off there, but Denny Hamlin, who is probably the best super speedway racer we have currently in the sport.
Yeah.
And I know he owns the 2311 team, co-owns it with Michael Jordan, but even he was commending Bubba on, he was taking the right lines at the right time to move up throughout the pack. And I mean, he was leading for what? I don't know. Do you have that information, Whitey? How many laps?
I can't remember. I think it was like 5 laps, 5 or 6 laps.
But yeah, he led for 5 or 6 laps. He was up there.
The race as well. I think he was up front earlier in the day too. I remember him going up to
he was up front coming into the competition caution. So
yeah, okay.
That's the other point I wanted to make too, is like everybody out there knew rain was coming. Everybody watching knew the rain was coming. Everybody had the same opportunities to make the moves, and Bubba made it at the right time. So again, I don't have time for the people that say it's a rain shortened win. It doesn't matter. Guess what? If you took rain shortened wins away, Darrell Waltrip would go from 4th all-time on the all-time wins list down to 8th.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear about it. You count them, and guess what? The money that he got, they're not going to take money out of that payday for him just because it was a rain shortened race. So
nope. You
they
still
don't
get
give
the
a
same
shit.
trophy. You get the same paycheck. You know.
Yep.
And like you said, I mean, there's always some controversy when a race ends prematurely due to weather. We saw it a couple years ago at Daytona with Justin Haley. He got the win. But I think the difference between that one is everyone knew Kurt Busch was going to win. They came, like, there was a lightning strike during pit cycles, and Haley stayed out and he got the win. So he kind of stole it. This is nothing like that. Bubba was leading for 5 laps or so. And doing his job. He was blocking. And you want to what? You got to give it up to Aspire, to Freddie Kraft, just maneuvering him through. I mean, super speedway spotting is an art in itself too. I mean, I know you guys listen to the app and the spotters and stuff, but just the amount of information they're giving, telling people about runs and when to make the moves and everything. It's a perfect storm. And yeah, I mean, can't not give it to Bubba. And like you said, 23-11 for winning their first year out. And it kind of reminded me something that we didn't really give much props to. Same with Colleague Racing a couple weeks ago at the Indy Road Course. They're a brand new team running part-time. They came out and won a race with AJ Allmendinger. Those 2 feet alone are huge for any prospective team looking to get into NASCAR, because it says, hey, if you spend the money, you could see the performance results and you could win races, and it is worth it investing. Guys like MJ, guys like Pitbull, like this is what the sport needs to grow, especially when it comes to younger ownership. What were you going to say, Matt?
Unless your name is Rick Ware.
Unless your name is Rick Ware, then Rick Ware.
Petty screwed that up. Why Petty? Like, I don't understand it. We have 1 car. How is that like Petty Ware? Is Richard Petty have those cars in his lease? Rick Ware right now?
No, I think so. I think it's so weird when it comes to that.
Like, how is that Petty Ware? Like, I think that's like what is he his affiliation there? Like,
it's the Charters or something.
Another freaking partner. Get him another car.
Yeah, we'll get Petty over to Toyota or something too. You know, I don't know. I don't understand Rick Ware. I don't understand how business practices are. I try to do some research to figure out how he made some money.
It's got to be a Ponzi scheme.
Has to be. There has to be something shady going on, because Rick Ware is all about quantity over quality. He's running 4 cars. They used to run different manufacturers, Chevys, Fords. It didn't matter. Like, I don't understand how they're making money running in 30th place every week and wrecking cars every week.
30th? They would like
34th. Yeah.
30th.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't understand the whole Rick Ware situation.
Driver this week at the Roval in one of his cars. I don't know what car in the Rick Ware car. They're running someone from like the sports car series or something is coming up. I
saw that.
I
saw that. I don't know what series he's running in.
You're in a Rick Ware racing car, dude. You might as well just park it. You might as well just not even get in that car.
And that's the thing. You remember back in the day they had starting parks? Rick Ware is a glorified starting park. I don't know. I'm going to move on because I'm just going to get fired up. Cody Ware blocked me on Twitter this week. So that goes to show you what kind of relationship we have with Rick Ware Racing and his son. Anyways, what were you going to say, Eric?
I wanted to add to what you were saying, like with Bubba, like giving him the checkers and his win and everything. Like, you have to realize to win these super speedway races, you have to have the trust of that lead pack. You have to have the trust of some of those drivers that are up there battling for the win, because they have to know that you are going to be a good pusher. You're going to be the one to pull along. You could handle getting bumped. You're seeing the moves. Like, there's a trust factor amongst those. So if you just ride around in the back all day and hope to win from just avoiding the big one,
it's not going to happen.
Drivers, you're never going to win up front. Those drivers, you weren't racing around them all day. So, like, you have to be up front for a majority of the day to gain the trust of some of these drivers and have that, the presence all day to be like, okay, I know how Bubba's car is. I know what he was doing all day. He has speed in that car.
Yeah.
I'm going to hook up with him. Because if you jump out of line and you have been riding the back all day, well, of course no one's going to follow you. No one's been around you all day. I'm not going to go with you. I don't know where you're going to take me, or I don't know if you could push me. So, like, he has to run up front. He does it those super speedways. So these other drivers have to have the confidence in Bubba and know that he could, wheel that thing around a super speedway.
You're track proven, and you build that trust. You reminded me of 3 different things all in that moment. One, Kurt Busch, future teammate, was giving Bubba a push. I don't know if you guys picked up on that one. I thought that was pretty interesting.
I did not pick up on that.
2, when it comes to working together and that trust, Christopher Bell going into Talladega said for some reason a lot of people don't trust him on super speedways. I don't know if that's warranted, but a lot of people didn't want to work with Christopher Bell. And I think that's why you saw Denny working with him as much as he did, because he knew he needed him to help him out, or he'd be hung out to lunch.
Eric Jones was helping them out too as an ex-teammate. I'm pretty sure, I mean, I could have misheard, but over the radio communication, like the 11 and the 20 were talking, and they said the 43 is with you. Denny was comfortable pushing and getting pushed by the 43 because that's an old teammate. He knows how to push. Felt comfortable with Eric Jones helping him on that bottom line as well. So it's kind of weird because it's like, okay, Eric Jones drives a Chevy. That's Toyota. Usually that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I think Eric Jones just wants to win in that instance too. He doesn't care about manufacturer.
No.
He wants to get in that 43 car. So he's going to go his instincts with his ex-teammates.
Yeah.
People he trusts too. So,
he knows he can work with them, To that point, I think at Talladega, at a certain point, it doesn't matter who you're working with. Besides, when it comes to like pit sequence and everything, you'll work with anyone that you could trust and that you could have that back and forth with. But yeah, it definitely interesting because, how many years was Eric Jones in team meetings with all those Gibb guys, Christopher Bell included, like they all know each other very well. Just you have that camaraderie, you could trust each other, what they're capable of as drivers. And, the third thing I was going to point out, one of those guys I was surprised to see some veterans working with trust-wise, Justin Haley. He started out on the front row due to a pit sequence, and you want to know what? They let him run up front for a while. They pushed him because, of course, he's not in the higher series full time, but he's run at those super speedways for a long time. He's got a lot of great super speedway runs in the Xfinity series and the Truck series. He's got a lot of wins.
He has a few wins.
Got a lot of wins in the Xfinity series at super speedways. So he's one of those guys where they're like, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to wheel a car at a super speedway. The speed might not be there. And I think that's what we kind of saw where that line fell apart and they shuffled him back. But that's an equipment issue. That's not a driver issue, And I thought that was pretty interesting, just seeing all 3 of those guys benefiting from just being able to trust in each other,
I'm really excited to see in the upcoming years, and we're not going to have this answered right away, but in maybe 5 or 10 years down the road, what comes of colleague racing in the Cup Series, because those guys are a lot of fun. Chris Rice and Matt Colleague, they seem like I know we've mentioned this before, they seem like fun dudes to go out and have a few beers with. So I'm kind of secretly rooting for them, and I think it would be good for our sport for those guys to find success at the highest level.
I'm rooting for them too, and of course that team is on the RCR campus. They share garages for the Xfinity series and stuff like that. They share a lot of data and team meetings and everything. So I'm definitely pulling for them. I don't know what's going to happen with the next gen car, what those affiliations will be. Sorry, but yeah, they're one of those teams that is going full bore. They're not a Rick Ware sitting in the back trying to make money. They're
respect.
They're out there to spend money to win races. It might take a while. I mean, they already did win a Cup race this year, but it might take a while full time to see that performance. But I think they're definitely in it for the long haul. And Matt Hogg definitely sees just what this sport could bring his businesses, because that's his business on the side of the car too. That was it Leaf Filter.
Yeah.
That's his family business. So he's the sponsor and the team owner. So it makes sense that he's seeing his return. My wreckers for the weekend, and it was really hard to give a wreckers to anything or anybody that happened on track. But I'm going to wreck Hendrick as a whole. And not because of the wrecks, because that wasn't their fault. They like, Alex Bowman, he got turned into the wall, not maliciously. Kyle Larson, he got hooked by the 77 and taken out, kind of like they got back on track, but they were just salvaging points at that point. William Byron, he got caught up in the back of the pack in a wreck. So like, I can't wreck them for the wrecks themselves. I'm wrecking them for just putting themselves in this kind of position in the playoffs. So the highest finisher was Chase in the 18th. Like you said, Matt, you just kind of get shuffled to the back and it's bad timing. He could have made his way back to the front and won that race too. Byron, Larson, Bowman finished 36, 37, 38th. Right now, Chase is only 9 points to the good in the playoff standing. Byron's -44, Bowman's -52. Both of those guys need a win at the Roval to advance, and only one can do it if either one of them can do it. And even Larson, who had a very nice lead in the points, is only 22 points to the good right now. I mean, I'm assuming he's not done winning races this season, but just seeing how dominant they were in the regular season, like how well all four cars are running, and to see it kind of break down in the playoffs, it's kind of the opposite of what we saw last year with Hendrick, where they struggled in the regular season and then Chase turned it around in the playoffs. So, I mean, that was the only thing I could think of to wreck this week.
That's sports. That's sports, man. I mean, look at back 10 years ago, or whatever it was, when the New England Patriots went undefeated in the regular season, and then they went and they lost in the Super Bowl. They were the heavy favorites and lost. That's just the way it goes sometimes. It is what it is. Other teams get hot at the right time when you're just maybe even cooling off, and it just offsets. And I as the resident HMS fan here on the Bump and Run podcast, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's one of them is going to be eliminated this week. There's mathematically, there's no way both Byron and Bowman can both make it. I don't think mathematically, unless a catastrophe happens with the rest of the crew. And then look at Larson, man, like our regular season winner. There's a scenario where it's a dire one, but there's still a scenario where he doesn't get out of this round.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy.
Even Chase only being 9 points to the good, that is not a safe place going into the Roval. I mean, he's one of the best road course races there are. Some will say he's the road course king. He's won at the Roval before.
But anything
anything can happen.
Oh, that pit crew makes me nervous for this coming weekend.
Big time nervous.
Yeah, because Chase is, for the most part, done his job, and he's done it well. It's that pit crew and pit road that's really bit him in his ass.
How about that? That reminded me. How about the Cody Ware, Chase Elliott pit road incident there?
God.
How about the situational awareness from Chase to avoid that, though?
When I saw that almost happen, oh my God.
I couldn't believe that.
Please, this is a family show.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I don't want to get into it. I don't want to talk about it.
I'm sorry to even bring it up.
Oh, that was so bad. Like, if they made contact, thank God they didn't make contact. But Cody Ware, Chase was coming out of his pit box and Cody Ware was going in. And I don't know how Chase, maybe it was his spotter, said slam on your brakes because
a Rick Ware racing car up ahead, just stop.
And then he dived back into pit boxes too to avoid him. It was a pretty impressive move. So whoever called that, or if it was Chase looking in his mirrors and saw it, kudos to them. Also got to give kudos to Kyle Larson's pit crew for just being calm, cool, and collected underneath the damaged vehicle policy clock and everything. I thought that was really impressive, just to get his car back out on track and make some laps and try to salvage whatever they could out of the day. I thought that was really impressive. I mean, they were making adjustments. That steering wheel was turned to a point where I'm surprised they even got the car back out on track.
What did he say? It was at 5 o'clock.
It was at 5 o'clock.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and Junior goes, that's pretty much upside down.
Yeah. And that just means something inside the suspension is really messed up, bent, probably beyond repair. And they just kind of threw some duct tape on it and got him back on track. So got to give kudos to Kyle Larson's pit crew. Maybe they'll make some switches in the future when it comes to pit crews over at HMS, kind of like they did with Brad and Joey a couple years ago. They'll move the hot pit crew to whoever's in the the championship.
Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if it happens during the playoffs. I know.
Yeah.
JGR did it with Kyle Busch and Denny. Was it a couple years ago, or Martin Truex Jr.?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Championship 4, like everything goes out the window. You do whatever you have to do. So who knows what we'll see? I can't wait to see how the next couple races shake out. It's going to be really interesting and really exciting. One thing that was not exciting for me was watching Matt DiBenedetto run around in the back. He's like a dark horse pick to win. Like he does really well at Talladega, especially. And he was like riding around in the back for most of stage 2. I thought there was something wrong. I think it was maybe part of his strategy. Ended up getting taken out anyways. But I was really surprised on that one, especially for a guy who's racing to find a new job for next year. I was a little surprised on that one. But I tell you what, his Team Penske cohorts, man, they were running real strong. 1 and 2. They didn't wreck each other. And I was surprised they didn't, because that's usually the story when it comes to Team Penske. But I thought that was pretty interesting throughout the race. Of course, running 2 and 3, finishing. And Reddick had a good looking car. He got taken out by that Bowman wreck. So for anyone at home, me, Matt, and Eric, we're in a group chat, and I was arguing that Ross Chastain was pulled a bonehead move, and I slowed it down. I watched the wreck in slow motion, and Ross Chastain never moved out of his lane. He stayed up there. Reddick dove in to the middle between Kyle Busch and Ross Chastain.
Go ahead, we're listening. Go ahead, say it.
So I was really mad at Ross Chastain, and I was
Come on.
I was incorrect. Ross Chastain did not make a bonehead move running right into Alex Bowman and then wrecking into Reddick and Kyle Busch.
Motion, Whitey. They always get you, buddy.
I thought I was so right. I was arguing with these guys for an hour in our group chat, even after the race ended.
I think the race was over.
No, it was. The race was over. No lie. I went on Twitter. I saved the videos. I put it in Movie Maker, and I was slowing it down frame by frame to send to you guys to be like, see, he never moved. And the more I watched, I'm like, you want to know what? That was unavoidable there.
And just to fill everyone else in who's listening, Whitey had some not nice things to say about the 42 because he thought that was the reason why Reddick got taken out yesterday. And Eric and I were telling him very calmly that you're wrong.
Oh, I know.
At one point, I responded with just nope.
I was getting so fired up too. I was so mad.
I love it though, dude. Like I love that you were getting that fired up because that's what NASCAR does, man. Like that's what this sport does. I love it.
Well, yeah, just a great race in general. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had some great runs until he turned Alex Bowman there, definitely unintentionally, but you know. Ricky being Ricky. He hasn't destroyed a lot of cars like he used to, though.
Did I text you guys?
I didn't even remember.
They said over the NBC broadcast that Ricky told his crew that he promised his crew he was going to be aggressive today. And I think I told you guys like, Ricky said he's going to be aggressive today. Hold on to your butts.
Oh, yeah.
And there you go. He spins someone.
Even in the pre-race, Brad Daugherty was talking about how Ricky's gotten a little bit more disciplined. He's not wrecking as many cars, and so I don't know. I feel weird.
Can I say on a side note, just a quick side note, that Brad Daugherty on the pre-race show, and even when they cut into
how
him
tall he is.
First of all, how tall he is, but yeah, he's an ex-NBA player, but I think he brings a lot to the table as far as commentary goes.
Absolutely.
I thoroughly enjoy it. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
That's okay. You want to know what? In fact, Tuesday night, as we're recording this, Brad Daugherty does a show once a week on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio with Brad Gilley. Usually it's Brad Gilley and somebody else. Well, it's Brad Daugherty every Tuesday night. And he's great. Just getting that owner's perspective. and especially like a smaller team owner. You know, you get to see his thinking when it comes to like budgeting. And something amazing about JTG Doherty, they always have full sponsorship to the point where they have to turn away sponsors, which is kind of great to see, but just goes to show you what kind of team they are, you know?
Yeah. People want to partner up with them and work with them.
Here's the thing, though. I always knew Brad Doherty was tall. Do you know how tall he is?
He's a 7-footer.
He is, which blew my mind because I was looking at him compared to Dale Jarrett, who's also on the NBC broadcast. I'm like, oh man, you know.
Do you know who Brad?
I'm like, Dale Jarrett's
Doherty,
only a little bit short. Dale Jarrett's like 6'1".
No, I think Dale Jarrett's like 6'3". I think Dale Jarrett's
bigger than 6'1", dude.
Yeah,
sure.
dude. Dale Jarrett was a hell of an athlete.
Yeah, but like
his son played pro ball.
But just looking at them together, I'm like, man, those are two big dudes. You know
who Brad Doherty played with at UNC basketball?
Michael Jordan.
Yep.
2 NASCAR team owners. There's a meme picture of them playing against each other when Brad Doherty was on the Cavaliers and Jordan was on the Bulls. And I was like, look at these 2 NASCAR owners. And they're playing a game.
Funny. But it's Mr. Hendrick and Mr. Penske. Speaking
of MJ, his new employee, Kurt Busch, he had some great runs on Monday too. I thought he was in position to win also. So just a good to see that Chip Ganassi Racing, Kurt Busch, and Ross Chastain, they're all pushing hard for even this late in the season when essentially the doors close in 6-7 weeks or so. And it all comes to end for Chip Ganassi and NASCAR. I just thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the race. You guys have anything else to add? Anyone?
We covered it all. It all.
I think we did a thorough job.
Except for
last place here on the Bump and Round podcast. Everyone loves to talk about the winner. We like to highlight the last place person. And this week it was one Justin Allgaier. I told you he got hooked into Kyle Larson. He was running the 77 for Spire Motorsports. Of course, he's an Xfinity Series veteran. He was filling in for Justin Haley, who usually runs that 77 for Spire in the Cup Series. Haley was running the Collie car that they've been running part-time at super speedways and road courses. And Allgaier just got a bad push from William Byron. Kind of just hooked himself into...
did he door Larson?
Oh,
man?
yeah, and tore that door open like a can opener.
Larson's day is done. He is done.
And that's why I had to give kudos to Larson's pit crew for getting him back on track, because I thought he was done too. Unfortunately, Justin Allgaier's run didn't last as long as he would. Do you think Justin Allgaier will ever get to Cup, or do you think he's just going to be that Xfinity Series veteran?
I think we've talked about this on the show before. I think he's mentioned that he enjoys racing for specifically the Earnhardts, Kelly and Dale.
Yeah.
And that he just enjoys the Xfinity Series.
Do you think
I think he said something along the lines of some sort of spectacular circumstance would have to happen in order for him to come back up to Cup Series.
Well, we've had rumors that Dale might come to Cup as long as it's more financially sound. It sounds like the charter system is going to be cheaper to run Cup next year than it is for Xfinity. Now, this is just projected dollars. We'll see what actually happens. And Dale said it's like pulling teeth trying to get a charter at this point too. But if they were, there's a lot of ifs, but ifs and buts, candies and nuts. If they were to get a charter, do you think Justin Allgaier would be the go-to Junior Motorsports Cup driver? Or do you think he would go to someone else in the stable at Junior Motorsports, or even try to poach a Cup driver that's in the series full-time now?
I think he'd pull up Josh Berry.
Yeah.
I think he'd definitely give his boy a shot for sure.
Now, here's the thing. I normally I'd be like, well, Josh Berry doesn't have a whole lot of experience, but man, he rattles off some wins in that part-time schedule. It's hard not to say like, oh yeah, he's the talent to go with.
Josh Berry's story is not over yet. Like I'm telling you, he's going to be a Cup driver someday.
He will, if not in 2023, very soon after that. I love
his story. He's our age and he's just getting his shot on like the main stage.
You're right. The experience comes from just being behind the wheel of a race car.
Yeah.
Any race car. That's where the experience comes in.
I tell you what's interesting about Josh Berry, because you said like, oh, he's our age, we're all in our early 30s, and he's getting his Cup Series start, which is crazy because that's kind of how it used to be. You know, like a lot of Cup guys didn't get their start until like their late 20s, early 30s, and then they ran until they were like 50 years old. It's not been until like the last decade or so where we just see much more young talent coming through the system a lot quicker than they ever did. Like looking at the talent pool now, half these guys are 25 years old. They have another 15, 20 years ahead of them. And they're racing with guys like Kevin Harvick, who knows how long he still has in him. I don't see him hanging up those racing shoes anytime soon. It's very
He should.
It's very interesting what's going on right now. But yeah, I wonder what you guys thought about Justin Allgaier and the Cup future. I don't know. I guess you're right though. I feel like Josh Berry is the guy probably to go, you know? Well, you guys want to jump into the pickle lanes? That was kind of a de facto pickle lane, a little teaser.
Sure.
So I got two. I teased one earlier and I didn't write it down, and now I can't remember what it was. It's lost forever. Wet noodle brain.
Lights at Talladega.
Oh yeah, Matt. Lights at Talladega. Should every track have lights?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Short answer is yes. Every track should have lights. Yeah. I'm just gonna stick with that. Yes, every track should have lights.
How about you, Eric? What do you think about the light situation?
I think it makes sense that every track should have lights. We know how much it rains in our sport and how much it affects weekends. It makes sense to financially, certain tracks may not. And I know another reasoning, and I know a lot to do with our home racetrack, Pocono, is if there are lights, even once the race is over, there are no lights up in the Pocono Mountains.
Yeah, it's pitch black.
Street lights, yeah. Yeah.
You know, in the middle of Alabama, in the middle of the Pocono Mountains, I know that's a little bit of an issue sometimes with that, but for a fan, for the sport to carry it on and not have any issues and let it run smoothly, lights would be the smart move.
Yeah, it's not just they wouldn't just be lighting up the track; they'd have to light up the parking lots,
the roads, and everything.
The roads leading in and out of it. Yeah,
that's a lot. It's a lot of infrastructure, and that's why I say no. I say like it makes sense in 2021. Yeah, you should have lights. I think if you're building a new track, absolutely it should have lights. But to force a track to retrofit and add lighting now, I don't think it's necessary. In the off chance that you do have rain come in, I feel like it's a lot of money, and it's easy to spend other people's money, and I have no problem doing that. But I just think to justify it for the few instances it might happen, I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, and I probably should have said this on the front end that I was saying yes selfishly.
Oh, of course.
Knowing damn well that it's not realistic, it's never going to happen. I would just like selfishly, I would love to see a Pocono night race, like amazing. Like,
I don't even want to see that though. To be honest with you,
triangle, it'd be amazing. I think it would be so cool seeing cars under the lights going through turns 1, 2, and 3, and just I don't know. I think it would be cool, but I just know why it can never happen. I get it.
See, I'm in the opposite. I mean, it'll look cool. Like one time, I just feel like it's not much of a draw. Like I remember back in the 90s being a kid and night racing being a big deal because it didn't happen a lot. You had the Bristol night race. It kind of brought you in. I remember
I think that was the only one for a while, was just the Bristol night
think so,
race.
and possibly Richmond. I'm not exactly sure. I just remember being a little kid though, and my dad being like, "Oh, there's a night race," you know? And like, even as a kid, I didn't really care. Like I didn't get it, you know? It was as an adult, I kind of figured out the sport and the greatness of it. But like, I feel like sometimes we overdo the night races, you know? I kind of get mad at the Daytona 500 that they started so late because I know they want to end it under the lights. I get it. Like it looks cool, but it's kind of oversaturated, you know? And I don't need Pocono under the lights. I don't need to see a night race at Pocono. In fact,
it's not a hill I'm willing to die on.
No,
you
yeah.
know what I mean?
But I just figure, I mean, I see the purpose and the need for it. Possibly, I don't know. I just can't justify it in my head, you know. But I mean, each his own. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know. All right. Next topic. I mean, we kind of covered this already. Should rain short races count, or should NASCAR stick around as long as it takes to go the advertised distance?
Yes. Just yes. They 100% should count.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, would you be opposed to them sticking around an extra day to finish the race, though, even if it already made halfway?
Yes. It's over. Those are the rules. You go in knowing that there's this, especially like most of the times, 9 times out of 10, when a race gets shortened for rain, it's not like
by
like
a half a stage.
Well, yeah, but it's not like a cell just popped up that we had no idea was coming. I mean, sure, that does happen occasionally, but 9 times out of 10, when a rain is canceled or ended because of rain, it's because we knew rain was either coming or rain's been in the area all day anyway. So everyone knows that this is what you're racing to. We knew all day long that there was a more than likely chance that the rain was going to impact the race and probably end it early. So yeah, I mean, get yourself up front when you know that there's weather in the area and stay up there. If you can't do that, then you don't deserve to win anyway.
Right, and back to the light point too. Like even if you have lights, it could still just keep raining, and lights aren't going to help
yesterday.
you
out. Oh yeah,
like it did yesterday. Yeah,
a lot of people want to say, "Oh, if we had lights, it would have happened. We would have got this in." Blah blah blah. But sometimes Mother Nature going to rain all day and all night, and it doesn't matter lights or not. The weather was going to cancel it anyway. And I agree, Matt. Like I'm not going to come back for another day, just to run 30 laps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
I've missed Pocono races because they've had to go on a Monday and I had work or whatever, which, is also on me, the fan, to maybe plan ahead like we've talked about before. Another thing too is like, you can't expect these industry people, like we're already
they have to put everything
halfway.
On hold to stay there.
They have lives, they have families to get back home to. Let's call it a day. Let's chalk it up as a loss. It sucks because we all want to see a full race, but it is what it is sometimes,
So I'm kind of going to contradict myself with the whole lights argument I just had. So bear with me. When it comes to the first one, rain short races count, absolutely. And this tweet by Rick Mast yesterday absolutely encapsulates it all. For all the folks fussing about Bubba Wallace, quote unquote, rain shortened victory, I would have given my left nut for a rain shortened cup victory. Well, maybe only a part of my left nut, but that just goes to show those wins in a racer's eyes count just like any other win. What was it? Ryan Preece at Pocono and the fog still counts. Justin Haley, I kind of dogged him earlier when it came to that win at Daytona, still counts. You get the trophy and you get that paycheck. It doesn't matter.
I still think deep down inside, though, they don't accept it. They'll say it to the cameras, but I think deep down, they want to get one, and they want to be driving across that finish line with a checkered flag waving. I think deep down, they definitely think, they put their own little asterisks in their head. Yeah,
but personally, and you want to know what? I think that's just a driver's mentality, a competitor's mentality, where like you want the full win.
Here's a little stat for you. I'm supposed to be Stat Man Matt.
Yeah.
There's 36 races a season. I know it hasn't always been 36 races a season, but you do the math, how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands probably, of races NASCAR has run since 1972, which is considered the beginning of the modern era in NASCAR.
Yeah.
Only 52 races have been shortened by rain.
Wow.
Only 52.
That's less than you would think.
A lot less. Yeah. So, I mean, we could bitch about it. It feels like it happens multiple times a year, but even when it gets delayed to a Monday, most of the time we get the whole race in. So it doesn't happen as often as you think it does.
But actually, like,
getting called.
Yeah.
I think you want to know what? It just kind of happened more this season that it's kind of fresh in your mind. You think about Coda earlier on in the year and Chase Elliott's victory, and that's still a win. You think about the darkness in New Hampshire, that's still a win. I mean, the race on Saturday, Brandon Brown's race got called. because of the darkness. That doesn't take away your first win and your first victory. So I definitely think rain short races should count. But I kind of do think that NASCAR should stick around as long as it takes within reason. And like I said, it kind of contradicts my whole lights argument earlier, where like tracks shouldn't need lights. But if they do have them, try to get them in. Kind of like Darlington a couple of years ago. I think it was the race that Eric Jones won. It had rained all day long. And I think they started that race at like 9 o'clock or something like that. And I stayed up until 2:30 in the morning because, of course, it's a holiday weekend. You have that opportunity. I stayed up and I stuck it out. Same thing with the Daytona 500 this past year when Michael McDowell won. They had that big wreck, and then we had a red flag for rain for hours and hours, and it finished at, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. I took the next day off from work. I planned ahead because I was expecting Florida rain.
I drank a half a pot of coffee at 9 p.m. just so I can stay up for that. Yeah.
And like, for me, there's something a little special, kind of like we were talking about how night racing is special. I feel a little special staying up late and watching the finish from a rain delayed race. So if you love the,
you know what I mean? You could do that at certain racetracks, you know, like, like them. If the track has lights, I would like them to definitely, you know,
hold
try
out
to
as long as possible.
That they can, yeah.
Yes.
Well, for sure.
Yeah.
If they have lights, it's possible.
Yeah.
Then yeah. And I think NASCAR would do that.
I think they try to as much as possible, you know.
The biggest factor too, guys, that we haven't even talked about is the TV. The TV deal, they're the ones who ultimately have the final say in the matter.
Yeah.
And that's the world we live in.
And you want to know what? They're paying billions of dollars to show the product to the world. So, I mean, they kind of earn that they kind of earn the hand to make those decisions when you're laying down that kind of coin. So it kind of makes sense. Someone also who's been laying down tons of coin for 27 years, McDonald's. Are they the greatest sponsor in NASCAR? They stuck around for 27 years before wins.
Now I'm obligated to nope. I'm obligated to say Fastenal.
Contractually obligated to say Fastenal is great. Well, that makes sense. I understand. I just thought
that makes them the dumbest. Man, you waited that long? Get the hell out of here. You guys are idiots. Yeah. They should have left 27 years ago.
And
I don't even know, like, think about how much money McDonald's makes. How much billions and billions of dollars McDonald's makes. Like they
just
probably
exploiting
don't even
teenagers.
feel the hit that it takes to sponsor
drop in the bucket.
NASCAR. Yeah.
Drop in the bucket. They don't even think about it. Although apparently, now let's jump to the tinfoil hat segment for this week. So I alluded to the 2 wins for the McDonald's car in 1994. They both came at super speedways, Daytona and Talladega. The Daytona summer race and the Talladega fall race, both wins by Jimmy Spencer, Mr. Excitement, Berwick's own Jimmy Spencer. Apparently, there is a rumor that McDonald's was ready to pull out of the sport. And kind of like last week, we talked about one of those Big Bill France greasy palm deals. There was a little bit of a deal between McDonald's to let Jimmy Spencer bring a cheated up race car and get them those 2 wins so they would stay in the sport. Did you guys ever hear that?
Ronald McDonald, you dirty bastard.
Yeah, what's hiding in that orange afro? Oh, a big pile of money. Here you go. Let us win.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy Spencer was cheating. But anyway.
I didn't say Jimmy was cheating. I'm saying the car was cheated up thanks to McDonald's. I don't know. That's the rumor. That's the tinfoil hat. I don't even want
to. Now I want McDonald's.
See,
I should have went. You know what? I should have you know how you always have to make up an excuse to make yourself feel better about eating fast food.
Yeah.
I should have made up that excuse today that they won yesterday, so I should have went and got a burger.
Right? Was DoorDash running something as a sponsor as well?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm sure.
People were trying to get McDonald's to give away free chicken nuggets through DoorDash with the Dr. Pepper and stuff.
Was asking that.
Someone made a great point, though. Hey, they spent 27 years without a win.
Right,
just let them enjoy this one.
I'll tell you what, though, McDonald's was super pumped about the win. Like all joking aside, like they made their they made their Twitter page like all about Bubba today.
Oh, you were all in. They were definitely all
which is cool. That's cool, man. That's
and
super cool.
And you want to know what? That's what you need. You need sponsor engagement like that. And McDonald's is pretty cool too. Like they've done the Travis Scott meal and stuff. I wonder if they'll do the Bubba Wallace meal. They'll give you a Dr. Pepper and a Big Mac and stuff like that. Maybe 10-piece nugget. But I was gonna say, oh man, about sponsorships. Damn it, I lost it. Wet noodle today.
Damn, Whitey, get it together. What are you on? Listen, I'm on the water. What are you on over there? On the beers today?
I drank a LaCroix.
Are you on the Eric Dovin diet?
I drank a LaCroix. I got a Deer Park water. What was I gonna say about
That's
sponsor?
your problem there, Deer Park.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I completely lost it. McDonald's, great sponsor.
That
Spending lots of money.
we're gonna try to get Polar Seltzer on.
We're gonna try to get Polar as a sponsor of the Bumper Run podcast. No, fan engagement. McDonald's. They said you can't spell Bubba Wallace without a W. Oh man. Oh.
All right, we're gonna have to move on.
Yep, we gotta go. We got a race this coming.
Yeah, we got a race coming up, and it's gonna be in Charlotte at the Roval, 3 p.m. Saturday. Xfinity goes to the Roval on NBC for the Drive for the Cure 250, presented by the Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina. And then Sunday, Cup Series is gonna be on track 2 p.m. for the Bank of America Roval 400. According to Bob Pockrass's math, the top 10 starting positions will be 1, Dennis Hamlin, 2, Brad Keselowski. Row 2 is going to be Joey Logano and Christopher Bell. Row 3, Martin Truex Jr. and Ryan Blaney. Row 4, Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott. Row 6, Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson. The Kyles
row 5
rounding out. Oh, sorry, row 5. The Kyles rounding out your 9th and 10th place position. Let the record show, last week I was going to pick Joey Logano. If I did, I would have netted 51 points, but my original pick was William Byron. He got me 1 point.
Wait, every week you pick 5 different guys before you land on the final one.
Well, that's how I keep the odds good in my favor, where I can be like, see, I said it if you paid attention. Eric picked Matt DiBenedetto. He got him 2 points. And Matt, you picked Ryan Blaney. He got you 27 points. Matt will go last. You won the money. The money is mine. Matt, you'll pick last. Eric picks second. I will pick first. While I try to remember what I was going to say about McDonald's and sponsorship, Matt, give us the stats we need to win.
Yeah, so we are going back to the Roval. It's up there with Watkins Glen as one of my favorite road courses. We've only been there 3 times, so this is only the 4th time that NASCAR has been there. So not a lot of stats really to pull from, but we have wins from Ryan Blaney back in 2018, the inaugural race there when Jimmy Johnson and Martin Truex took each other out, and Blaney snuck in there for the win. And then Chase has won back-to-back in 2019 and 2020. So there are only 3 winners there, an average age of like 14, I think. All right. And then the average finish inside the top 10. And then just a note on this stat is that these are the average finishes for current drivers only and guys who have ran all 3 races. You have guys like Larson who haven't run all 3 races, Allmendinger in there. So
yeah,
I didn't include them in this. So Chase has the best average finish at 2.7, the road course king right now. Bowman and Blaney, the same average finish of a 4.7. Logano, a 7.3, a Harvick, a 7.7, and Martin Truex Jr. with a 9.3 average finish.
I think Martin Truex Jr. got wrecked out of the first race,
by Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah,
coming to the checkered flag.
So that screws up that average finish, because I'm almost certain he came in 3rd the last 2 years.
I'm sure he did. Yeah, that first inaugural race where Blaney won, because Martin Truex got taken out by Jimmy Johnson, that definitely skews that a little bit.
And the fact that a Toyota has won every single race of the playoffs except for one is the reason why I am going with 1 Martin Truex Jr.
I shouldn't have texted you guys earlier.
I was going to pick him regardless. Oh, and I remember what my sponsorship story was going to be, but let's continue with the picks.
All right, so I'm second, right?
Yep, you're second.
Of course. Well, since Whitey took my driver, I was gonna roll with the whole Toyota thing. They've been dominating. I feel like the main players are gonna come out to play here. I don't necessarily know if he's going to win this race, but I do know he's going to keep his car clean, going to race clean, and unlike that first race, he's going to get the win, and it's not going to be because someone takes somebody else out. I'm going with the 12 of Mr. Ryan Blaney.
Good pick.
Okay.
Good pick. I want to go with my heart here. He's our road course king, but there is a certain driver, number 4, that is making me really, really nervous. And
I wonder
so
if we will see a retaliation at the Roval.
And I'll tell you what, if there's an opportunity, don't put it past Harvick to take it if he needs to, if he sees fit. So I'm going to
This is his best chance to not chase down if he wants to right here.
Yep, it is. It's his best chance. Harvick doesn't forget. So I'm just going to steer clear of both of those guys. And I'm going to stay in the Toyota camp. I'm going with Christopher Bell. He won the Daytona road course earlier this year. He tends to run pretty good at road courses. And he needs to dig himself out of a hole. He keeps himself clean, and he wins this Sunday at the Roval.
He is definitely in a must-win situation. And Harvick, I wonder if Harvick's going to do something crazy and take out Elliott, because right now, respectively, Elliott's 9 points to the good. Harvick is 9 points out. And if he doesn't,
they start on the same row.
Yep. And if there's some retaliation, who knows where their playoff hopes go to? I wonder, maybe cooler heads will prevail. We will see. Just want to jump back to the McDonald's sponsorship discussion before we end the show. I remember what it was. McDonald's stuck around for 27 years with good reason. How many times, Eric, when Kyle Larson was running that McDonald's car for Chip Ganassi Racing, did we say, hey, if Larson wins, we're buying golden arches today?
You know, G8.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many Sundays I got McDonald's before a race because I'm like, oh, got to support the golden arches and Kyle Larson, you know?
Yep.
So, yeah, that just goes to show you sponsorship in NASCAR works, and you got to keep on working at it. I'm just saying.
I'll tell you what, Matt. So like you said, you picked Christopher Bell. I don't know if you guys saw, I saw on Twitter today, Kelly Crandall tweeted a bunch. Christopher Bell was down on the racetrack, and they had like a little tram car that they were bringing people around, kind of talking about some of the nuances of the racetrack. And I saw some of the turtles, like, oh my God, the one, and someone tweeted at her, like, how big are those turtles?
Oh, yeah, the giant.
Are 4 inches, and the blue ones are 8 inches off the ground.
What?
My God.
Yeah. So now,
no wonder why their cars get disturbed so much.
So his crew chief, Christopher Bell, was like, it's a mandate from me saying, like, stay off the chicane on like the back stretch and the front stretch, like where you have to really slow down now and slow down turn instead of kind of trying to cut it. I don't think you could cut over many of these anymore. Like the one on the back, I think he said was where the high 8-inch ones are that you could run straight into. So I'd be careful to see some of them RWRs maybe going for a little.
God, they're gonna launch themselves over to the drag strip over.
Time hit one of those.
I just don't.
They're gonna launch themselves over into the drag strip right outside of Charlotte Motor Speedway.
I just hope we don't get a repeat of the Indy road course and we see some airborne cars.
I just thought it was interesting, like 4 inches and 8 inches. I'm just like, I'm at work today, and
did they change that?
Yeah, it was. Is that how it always was, or is this a new thing?
Because
I think they said it was the same as last year, but
it better be because
it was last year, but they did change something about the front stretch chicane where you have to slow. The cars are going to have to completely slow down. I think he was saying to make the turns. Like you can't go through there. He was explaining it weird, like where I asked the same question in my head. Was this like this last year? And I think one section was, but another one might not be.
See, that makes me immediately nervous, only because what we saw at the Indy Road Course.
Yeah.
And,
Right. That made me nervous.
and we really haven't had any major issues at the Roval since the inception of 4 years ago now. So that kind of makes me a little nervous. Why change anything?
I think maybe what happened maybe spooked them to maybe look into what their turtles were like. And like, I don't know, maybe not to have a repeat. I don't know.
We'll find out this Sunday at
2 p.m. on NBC. It's the Roval. And just to give you a little playoff picture recap, Denny Hamlin locked himself into the round of 8 with a win last week. Kyle Larson in second, 22 points to good. Joey Logano, 21 points to good in third. Brad Keselowski, 20 points to good. Martin Truex Jr., 20 points to the good. The top 5 through second are only separated by 2 points. Absolutely insane right now. Ryan Blaney in 6th, 15 points to good. Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch tied for 7th and 8th with 9 points to the good. Kevin Harvick coming into the Roval out by 9 points. Christopher Bell out by 28 points. He needs a win. William Byron out by 44 points. He needs a win. Alex Bowman out by 52 points. He absolutely needs a win to advance. Who will it be in the Roval? Will it be MTJ keeping that Toyota train a-rolling? Will it Christopher Bell keeping his playoff run a-rolling? Or will it be Ryan Blaney getting his second career win at the Roval? We will find out this Sunday, 2 p.m. on NBC, and we will break it all down for you Monday night right here on the Bump and Run podcast. For Matt the Stat Man Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night.
Bump and